Hi, I'm David, I'm from Deloitte, and today I would like to present you how to develop a rating model. Why should a bank develop a new rating model? An example is that the bank wants to change from so-called standard approach to IRB approach in order to decrease their capital requirements. Or the bank gets a new loan portfolio and wants now to assess the creditworthiness of these new borrowers. Or the bank is just not satisfied with the old model because the last validation showed that the discriminatory power of this model is very low. So if you develop a rating model, there are three phases. There is a model preparation, there is a model construction, and then there's model calibration and testing. Let me start with model preparation. So before you start to plan your project, you have to determine the model methodology. So depending on the data situation and the scope of application, you have to decide on a specific model type. So for example, an expert-based model might make sense for a low default portfolio. Or if you have sufficient defaults, you might choose a statistical model like a regression model. When you plan your project, it is important to set realistic milestones and define clear responsibilities. With a kick-off workshop where you discuss your project with all relevant stakeholders, your project officially starts. So the first step of model construction is analyzing your rating segment. Depending on the size and importance of your rating segments, it might even make sense to split it in subsegments in order to especially consider it with your modeling. But this, of course, has to be discussed intensively with the credit analysts. Most time-consuming step, however, is the data collection and data preparation. You start with a long list of possible useful variables which were intensively discussed with the credit analysts. And while preparing the data, you should always pay great attention to the data quality topics. Check all the defaults if it's possible and apply techniques in order to deal with data deficiencies. So the actual model development consists of univariate analysis, where you identify the most predicted variables, and the multivariate variable, where you identify and specify your final rating model. So then calibration follows, which assigns a rescale PD to each score. After calibration, you basically validate your model on a data sample different from the sample used for development, and then the user acceptance test follows. Only if the credit analyst accepts the results, then you can proceed. Keep always in mind that the acceptance of the rating model by the credit analysts and the later users are most important. And only if they do not have any comments anymore, you can proceed and start the IT implementation by writing the business requirements. The IT then itself writes the technical requirements and starts to implement the final IT solution. And after everything is properly tested, documented and approved, the rollout of the final model can start. So, thanks for listening and have fun with the homework.